Welcome back, fellow list lovers, to Top 10 Tier, where we rank, rate, and reveal the best of the best. I'm your host, and today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Wondershare Filmora, the ultimate tool for bringing your video visions to life. From jaw-dropping countdowns to mind-boggling comparisons, we've got it all covered here at Top 10 Tier. And with Wondershare Filmora's powerful editing features, we're able to elevate our content to new heights of visual excellence. So, grab your popcorn and get ready to embark on a journey through the top 10 realms of awesomeness. From the bizarre to the breathtaking, we're counting it all down, right here on Top 10 Tier. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to stay updated on all our latest rankings and reviews. Let's dive in, Clapperboard Trophy.
We have picked for you the top places you'd better never go to. This has become a haven for people who have been called devils and bloodthirsty demons. We bet you wouldn't want to encounter them after such a presentation. What makes them so dangerous? Officially, the North Sentinel is governed by India. But in reality, this Andaman island in the Bay of Bengal, about the size of Manhattan, 58.8 square kilometers, 22.7 square miles, is a real thing in itself. Its inhabitants are the most isolated tribe in the world, unwilling to embrace civilization. Yes, they don't know what the dollar, global warming, and online movie theaters are. The Sentinelese forbid outsiders from coming to their island and kill those who try to get to them. The last time their ferocity was brought up was in 2018. That was when a 26-year-old American missionary, John Chow, who arrived on Sentinel without permission from Indian authorities, tried to land on the island to convert the natives to Christianity. Chow brought a Bible and souvenirs. The indigenous people made signs ordering him to get out, but the young American did not give up, and next time, he persuaded the fisherman who had brought him to leave him on the shore. It ended tragically. Chow was shot with an arrow, and the fishermen who saw the guy's body being dragged along the shore were arrested for having brought him there illegally. But even before Chow, encounters with islanders ended badly. Now, India is trying to protect the islanders from outside invasion. By law, it is forbidden to approach the North Sentinel any closer than 8 kilometers, 5 miles. Indian researchers believe that the Sentinelese should just be left alone and allowed to live the way they do. Another reason is that the islanders have no immunity to diseases that are common in the rest of the world. It's a place where winter is coming all the time. Welcome to Oymyakon, a remote Yakut village in eastern Siberia, near the Arctic Circle. In 1924, the temperature dropped to a record low of minus 71.2 degrees Celsius, minus 96.2 degrees Fahrenheit. The average winter temperature is minus 50 degrees Celsius, minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit. The village itself was founded in the 1920s. Here, shepherds used to water their reindeer from the thermal spring in winter. During the shortest days of the year, the night in Oymyakon lasts 21 hours. Every March, the village hosts the Pole of Cold Festival, which is the name given to the areas with the lowest temperatures. According to beliefs, the festival is held by Chaiskan, the Yakut spirit of cold. He looks like something between Gandalf and the Ice Queen from Frozen. No wonder that the Pole of Cold has become a point of attraction for record lovers. In 2019, for example, Oymyakon hosted the world's first ever race in record low temperatures. At the time of the start, the temperature was minus 48 degrees Celsius, minus 54.4 degrees Fahrenheit. It lasted 4 hours, and during this time, runners covered several different distances. The participants were from France, India, Italy, Austria, and Taiwan. A resident of Japan also dared to do an extreme act. He bathed in Oymyakon in the river at a temperature of minus 60 degrees Celsius, minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit. The man ran out of the van in his underwear, plunged into the water several times, and came back. His photo was later posted on YouTube and gained over 200,000 views. It's chilling to even look at, isn't it? At first glance, it looks like a paradise island with palm trees and a sunny climate. And the name Bikini Atoll surely reminds you of something. But this island actually has a very grim history. It was here, on Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands, that the U.S. conducted nuclear weapons tests from 1946 to 1958. And just nearby, on Eniwatok Atoll, the first hydrogen bomb was tested on November 1st, 1952. Bikini was chosen because of its remote location and spacious and easily accessible lagoon, and the inhabitants were asked to move to a neighboring atoll. After a council with elders, the ruler Paramount Eroge of Bikini inhabitants agreed, and 167 indigenous inhabitants moved to Rongerik Atoll. Unfortunately, the trees and palms of the new home were not so fruitful. Fresh water was not enough, and there were food poisoning cases. The Bikini Atoll's indigenous people were subsequently relocated several more times. But feel what happened at that moment. 2 million tons of water, sand, and powdered coral exploded into the air. The explosion literally shredded the ocean bottom. Scientists who examined it 73 years later found that it had never leveled out. The target ships and the atoll as a whole were heavily contaminated with radioactive material. But as a result, Bikini became uninhabitable. The soil and water became contaminated, so that farming and fishing were no longer possible. More than half of the 167 indigenous people of Bikini Atoll died due to severe radiation-related diseases. The U.S. later paid the descendants of the Bikini Atoll's inhabitants $83 million in compensation for damages from nuclear tests and relocation from their home island. If you decide to stay here for longer than 10 minutes, you can get heat stroke and your lungs can fill up with fluid. But in the Cave of the Crystals in Mexico, the place resembles Superman's Fortress of Solitude. The cave was discovered in 2000. A mining company called Industrias Peñoles in the Mexican state of Chihuahua pumped water out of it. And two brothers, miners Juan and Pedro Sanchez, were amazed when their flashing lights caught the glow of giant crystals. No, not Swarovski, out of the darkness. But they were no less beautiful. It was selenite, a crystalline variety of gypsum. These were real columns you could walk on. How did this amazing natural masterpiece form? The crystals grew for at least 500,000 years at a depth of 300 meters, 984 feet beneath the Sierra de Naica. Tectonic fault lines run through this area. About 26 million years ago, magma began to move through them, and eventually the mountain was formed. And the cave itself is a U-shaped cavity in the limestone under the mountain. For tens of thousands of years, it was filled with groundwater. It contained the mineral anhydrite. The magma beneath the cave kept the water hot, but eventually its temperature dropped to just under 58 degrees Celsius, 136 degrees Fahrenheit, and the anhydrite began to break down in the new conditions, decomposing into calcium and sulfate. The particles began to slowly form a crystalline form of gypsum, otherwise known as selenite. The cave began to fill with selenite crystals. They stayed underwater and grew steadily. Of course, they didn't turn into giants overnight. For example, it takes 500,000 to 900,000 years for a crystal with a diameter of 1 meter, 3.2 feet, to grow, also be deadly. It is rumored that one guest to the giant crystals cave was literally impaled by a selenite spike from the vault when he tried to break it off. The atmosphere itself can kill you here. The temperature in this wonder of the world is around 47.1 degrees Celsius, 113 degrees Fahrenheit, and the humidity is almost 100%. Therefore, it is impossible to stay here for long without special clothing. In 2017, the pumping of water stopped, so the crystals can start to grow again. mere mortals are still not allowed to enter this place. Well, at the end of August 2010, the Cinnabung stratovolcano woke up after 400 years of sleep. The giant, with a height of 2,460 meters, 8,070 feet, is located in the north of Sumatra Island in Indonesia. People have been settling near it for ages, not realizing how there are 147 of them in the country, of which 130 are active. And as many as 9 million Indonesians live close to active volcanoes. That is, within 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles from them. Since Cinnabung came out of hibernation, it has erupted almost every year, sometimes several times a year. As a result, airplanes flying through the region have to change their routes. Each eruption is accompanied by the evacuation of between 6,000 and 20,000 locals. But sometimes, things end tragically. In 2014, for example, this fire-breathing monster took at least 16 lives because people living within 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles from it, were allowed to return home when they thought the eruption had stopped. But shortly after, the volcano erupted again. A journalist who wanted to take a closer shot was killed, as were 4 children from a local school, along with a teacher who decided to observe the eruption. In 2016, the volcano killed 7 more people and seriously injured 3 others. And it was an epic show when it woke up. A column of ash and smoke rose to a height of 3 kilometers, 1.9 miles. 12,000 residents of surrounding villages had to be evacuated from their homes. But that proved to be just the beginning. In the evening of the same day, the outbursts continued. At the same time, an earthquake struck, affecting an area within 25 kilometers, 15.5 miles of the epicenter. A few more days later, Cinnabung fired a 3rd portion of ash. The sound of the explosion could be heard at a distance of 8 kilometers, 5 miles. In 2021, the volcano erupted as many as 5 times, starting in January and ending in July. Last time, in addition to a 4.5 kilometer, 2.8 mile high column of dust and gas, there were also pyroclastic flows, destructive streams of volcanic debris that spread 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles from the mouth of the volcano, and their temperatures reach 800 degrees Celsius, 1,472 degrees Fahrenheit, which is deadly to any living creatures in the vicinity.